everyone. Hello. I am Katie from Jared and Katie in the Morning, and welcome to Cooking with Katie and a Cocktail. We're just laughing because normally on every episode, our Chocolate Lab Maisie joins us. Sometimes she's waiting for Fallout. Sometimes she's waiting for, I don't know, she just hangs out in the back. Well, today, as soon as I said, hey, we're ready to go, Maisie got up and walked out of the kitchen. She was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to be here for another episode. But I'm glad you're here. It's Facebook Live. It's Cooking with Katie and a Cocktail. And it's all brought to you by Niece's Country Sausage and Jolo Winery and Vineyards. And of course, our kitchen. And big thanks to my production guy, my husband, Ben. He's here. He's going to be reading all of your comments so that we can be cooking together, and it's going to be interactive. So if you have any comments or you have any questions along the way, any tips, because I am always looking for new, exciting things to be learning in the kitchen, share them in the comments because I would love to cook with you. We are going to start cooking with Katie and a Cocktail, making a cocktail, and it is called the French 75, and we're using beach bubbles from Jolo Winery and Vineyards as the bubbly that's going to top our French 75. And if you're not familiar, because I was telling a couple people that we were making a quiche and making the French 75 cocktails, and they said, a French what? A do what? And I said, a French 75, and really, I didn't know about the French 75 cocktail. I haven't known about it all that long. I will say and give props to a girlfriend of mine, Sarah, who we went to Napa Valley for a friend's bachelorette. A whole big group of girls went to Napa Valley, and we went to this really adorable little restaurant called Evangeline, right in Calistoga, California, and all sat down at the bar, and my friend Sarah said, I'll have a French 75, and I was just like you. I said, I'll what? And she was explaining the French 75 to me. It's a Prosecco or Champagne cocktail that is made with gin. It's made with, today we're using a simple syrup because it's kind of our own little take on the French 75, and some lemon juice, and then topped with a sparkling. So let's make our cocktail. We're gonna get started, and I'm really excited, you guys, because this is my brand new cocktail set. We've had it for a while, but I don't think, have we used it on the show?
Maybe the shaker.
Maybe the shaker? Okay, so yeah, I was really excited that I got to use my brand new cocktail set because it's just been sitting in our armoire for a while. So its debut is here. We are going to start our French 75 with, just a disclaimer, Ben and I did a lot of taste testing of this recipe to make sure that we got it right, because there's a lot of variations, ways that you can make it. If you like it super strong, if you don't like it super strong. I feel like we've done a lot of taste testing, so I wrote it down so I didn't forget. And while I'm making the French 75, I'll tell you, I looked it up, was doing some research on it, and it kind of was created, but then also became really popular during World War I, where they said that they started making it in some of the cocktail lounges, the bars, and they said that the punch that this packed of the French 75 was, Ben, help me, as strong as a 75
millimeter field gun.
Millimeter field gun. I knew nothing about guns. Ben showed it to me, and I was like, looks like a cannon. I guess it kind of is, but it's true. This is a strong one, but it's delicious, and it goes really nicely with the quiche that we're gonna make. So we're gonna start with 2 ounces of gin, and I'm gonna do, what you got, Ben?
Julie was asking where your apron was from.
This one's from Ben. Ben got this for me for Mother's Day. That's right. This one's Williams-Sonoma. And, right? That's where you ordered it from Williams-Sonoma, and it was my Mother's Day present. So, 1, 2, 3. All right, 2 ounces of gin. What?
Oh yeah. I thought you had it held the other way.
Doubt me when it comes to measuring liquor. You're lucky I measured it at all, for being honest. I'm just doing this for y'all. Normally I would just pour it in here, which I feel like is kind of what we did earlier. All right, so 2 ounces of gin. I'm going to put in a ½ ounce of, it really is difficult when you're measuring it because normally you do just kind of mix it, but I'm getting all scientific on you. Freshly squeezed lemon juice. So we're going to do a ½ ounce. And by the way, this whole recipe is going to be posted cookingwithkatieandacocktail.com. All the recipes go there after the episode is over. So if you're not catching all this and writing all of it down, it will be cookingwithkatieandacocktail.com. We're going to do a simple syrup, which my husband Ben made for us. And this is where we're changing up the French 75 just a little bit. This is a simple syrup, so 1 cup sugar, 1 cup water, and Ben infused some basil from the garden in here. So it's kind of like...
So just take a handful of basil leaves, put it in there.
Yeah.
Let all the sugar dissolve, and then leave it on the... Just take it off the heat for a little while, and it will...
It smells fantastic, and it's summery, you know, so we thought that would go really nicely. We're going to do a ½ ounce of the simple syrup, and you could just use some sugar if you don't make a simple syrup. You don't have to do the basil. It's not a traditional French 75, but thought it was a nice little play on that. And let's see. All right, we're going to put some ice into the shaker. This today, for not over serving purposes, we're going to make 2 cocktails out of this because it's strong. And I'm cooking with Katie in a cocktail, not the loaded chef. So, not the tipsy cook. So, I'm going to kind of tone this down just a little bit, or at least split it between 2 glasses so that it's not, it doesn't get bad. All right. I'm going to give it a shake here. My favorite part. Then it gets so cold I can barely handle it. We tried. Oh, wait till I'm done. We tried to pour this into some champagne flutes, and it was so much liquid that we had to switch over to the little stemless ones. So we're going to use these.
What does it say on it, honey?
This says, Yay Greensboro. They both say, Yay Greensboro. So, I'm going to put half in here, and half in here. And you could put some fresh basil leaves if you wanted. You could, we're going to add the lemon rind, the zest.
Good job, honey.
A lemon peel. Did I get half and half?
Yeah,
pretty good. Okay.
Pretty spot on.
I'll also give you the shaker, Ben, so you can drink out of this. Don't want any of it to go to waste. And now we're going to top it with some bubbly from Jolo Winery and Vineyards. And it's just a really fun, light cocktail that's going to go really nicely with quiche. Right.
The loaded chef has a ring to it.
I know. I thought about that. In hindsight, I bet it's probably already taken.
I bet you there's one out there.
I'm sure. That's the oven preheating to 400 degrees, just in case you're wondering. All right, Ben. Cheers to our night cocktail of the day.
Thank you.
Cheers. Cheers. Cheers, you guys. That's delicious. Yes! That's so good! Oh, I love it when a cocktail turns out. All right, so I hope that you'll make this because it's so good. Let me clean up my little bar area. See, I told you I had to write it down because I would have just been mixing things together and who knows where that would have led us. All right, let me clear this out of the way. We're gonna move things for, I guess I'll just put all this back here.
I don't know what you're doing.
This is like if I had a real TV show, then there would be some people who could just come in and swoop and take it all away, but it's just me. All right. Now this is looking a little bit more professional. This is what I do every week to prepare for Cooking with Katie and a cocktail. It's all the prep work beforehand so that you don't have to I don't bore you with all of that. We just get straight into the recipe. Move all these things. Maybe if I keep going with all the cocktails, I'll change my name to the Loaded Chef. I don't know. All right, move this out of the way. Okay, so we are going to be making a sausage and leek quiche. or as my sisters and I call it, a quiche. We like to say, oh, you're having a quiche, a quiche. Quiche is the greatest because you can make 1,000,000 different combinations. Today, country sausage. I am going to sneak a few mushrooms in there because I love mushrooms. We have leeks, which I've already cleaned, I've already cut. It's just the, not the dark green parts, but the lighter green parts and the white parts, and I just sliced them. And then I got rid of the tall, the very dark, stocky parts because they're filled with sand and dirt. Clean them really well, slice them in, I just sliced them into rings. We have some eggs, we have some heavy cream, and we have some milk, and cheating here, because otherwise we'd be here for 7,000 years. I'm using a frozen pie crust.
Deep dish.
Deep dish. I had to send Ben out because we were, it's the cocktail, y'all. Telling you, goes straight to your head. The magic of our show, we did do a run through of the quiche earlier so that I would have one to present to you. And I thought, oh, well, this is great. We're gonna have a quiche. We can, try it out before the show. And it turns out that the amount of the ingredients was too much for just one pie crust. So it made 2 quiches. And then Ben went out and got the deep dish pie crust. So fingers crossed that all of that fits into the deep dish. We'll see.
Annabelle says, make sure that you move your beverage before you get.
Thank you, Annabelle. I'll move it
Because
right on.
it would be terrible if it got spilled.
Yes, I would not like that. All right, and really, I'm having a love-hate relationship with this induction burner. Some days it works fantastic and in like the best ways possible, and then other times it heats up too quick and I lose control. So a lot of fingers crossed this episode, but let's just hope it all goes well. We're gonna start with a 1/2 pound. Yes, Ben.
And Elaine just wrote in, said that she makes a delicious ham and cheese quiche with a homemade crust. So you have to probably message with her and find out what the secret is to making it good.
I am not a baker. I feel like that's what a lot of people say when they like to cook. You either are a baker or you are a chef or you like to cook. It's the science. Science is not my best. It's the science of it all, and I feel like you really have to get it right or it doesn't work out. Like one time, I think one of the first things I baked when I was younger were some biscuits, and they were rolls or something, and it ended up being super hard, hockey pucks, and I made probably like 7 dozen of them, and my mom made me take at least 5 dozen over to the neighbors, and she called them while I was walking across the yard to take them over, and she called the Prud'hommes and said, please just pretend like you like them. They're hard as hell. Nobody wants to eat them. And she told me that story years later, and I was like, thanks, Mom. Thanks. All right. So we're going to be using the Mises Country Sausage, the Sage, today in the quiche. Sage is my favorite of the country sausage from Mises. And we just need 1/2 pound. So let me get this in there. The sage just really has a great flavor. We're going to break this into our pan. And really, I just want to crumble it, but I want to break it up into some manageable pieces first. The sage smells so good, the country sausage, when you're cooking it. Just bulk ground sausage from Mises. Where fresh has always been better than strewn. Okay. I'm gonna step out for 1 second and throw this away. I don't want that touching anything. I'm back. I'm gonna wash my hands. All right, get the sausage going. The quiche were something that I also made a lot of when I first started cooking, because like I was saying, you can put anything into a pie crust and with some eggs and some cream and some milk and cheese. Today we're using Gruyere, a Swiss cheese, a hard Swiss cheese. And it's just really melty and nutty and smells fantastic when it's baking. The melty part is key. All right, we're gonna brown this. I saw some, going back to the French 75, I saw a couple other variations where people were putting summertime fruit in the French 75, freezing different ice cubes and putting that into the French 75. I thought that was a pretty fun idea. It's one where it's like just so few ingredients, but something that you're having a dinner party or you're having your friends over, you can really impress them. Like, let me make you a French 75. Yeah.
Question in from Callie saying, what is a good substitute for vegetarian in lieu of sausage?
Oh, how about spinach or mushrooms? You could just do mushrooms in this.
Portobello's,
yeah,
something like
like
that.
a heartier mushroom. Add more vegetables in there. When you're doing mushrooms, and we'll see a little bit of this when we do the leeks and the mushrooms, that they do put off quite a bit of water, a good bit of water. So just make sure that you saute it, and then even if you might, just to make sure you don't get a really soggy bottom to the quiche, you might even want to let it drain after you brown or saute the vegetables. Just let it drain a little bit, or just keep it on a low saute so that you can get all the water to evaporate, because otherwise what happens is it's a really moist filling, but it's too moist, and then the bottom of your crust gets really soggy. And you're not going to get a super crispy crust on the bottom anyway, because this is just a raw pie dough, but you don't want it to be wet and you know, like fall through as you try to pick it up. But yeah, mushrooms would be great. Maybe I think mushrooms would probably make the most sense. That meaty, hearty texture.
Yeah, and you get so much flavor out of the leeks.
Yes, leeks are delicious. It's like one giant, humongo spring onion on steroids. They were, when I got them today, they were like this tall, probably. And it always feels like such a waste, because when you cut off the parts that you're not going to use of the leek, it's this much, and then the onion that you're using is this much. That's how they get you. Paying by the pound. Earlier, my husband said, "Did you pay by the pound?" And I was like, "Oh no." I think I might have.
I don't know. Callie asked again, tofu or what's the thing begins with the T?
Tempeh?
Yeah.
Oh, tempeh, yeah. Tempeh would be great. 1,000 years ago when I worked at Mellow Mushroom, tempeh was, for a while I was on a bit of a tempeh kick. They had a tempeh, well they still do, but a tempeh sandwich, or putting tempeh on pizza. It's definitely got a nutty, seed-like texture and very hearty, where I feel like tofu is basically soggy eggs. That's how I feel about. I would choose tempeh over tofu all day long. And then, truth be told, I'm going to choose Niece's Country Sausage 100% of the time. But if I had to, tempeh. All right, so this is nice and browned. That's all we're going for. It's going to cook a little bit more in the oven. I am going to drain it. I'm going to turn this down. Just turn it off for right now. Leave some of the sausage drippings. If you tuned in to last week's episode, you saw the container that we keep in the fridge that holds all of the bacon and the sausage drippings. Nothing goes to waste. But we're going to use some of these drippings for sauteing the mushrooms and the leeks. But I wanted to drain off some of this sausage. I think, I don't want to jinx anything here, but I think because we made 2 quiche, I don't know why I want to make that plural, 2 quiches earlier, I might have enough to share with some coworkers tomorrow, but don't want to get their hopes up.
Only if they're watching.
Only if they're watching. That's right. All right, we're gonna let that drain. I'm gonna get this back on, and we're gonna saute. I'm gonna put just a little bit of oil down the bottom. It didn't give off too much fat. I'm gonna saute our leeks and our mushrooms. So we'll get that going. It's really nice when you have everything all planned, and that's the one part of cooking that I never really got down when I was cooking by myself. It was like having everything all ready to go. Makes it much easier, and you can kind of time things out. I did tell you, preheat your oven to 400 degrees.
Right
Make
after,
sure you have that going.
right in the middle of the cocktail. So.
Perfect time for that, right? Good thing I reminded you, and then you reminded me of the cocktail. All right. Get that going. And we're going to saute these just until they are, get a little translucent and they start to soften up, saute a little bit. And then we'll add the mushrooms in. While this is going, I'm going to get started on our eggs and our cream and our milk. So, one day, we will have a kitchen that will have so much counter space, we won't even know what to do with ourselves. One day. Today is not that day.
I only know it this decade.
It's not hopeful.
Billy Ridgway just got on and asking about the cocktail tonight. What was the...
Hey Billy, the cocktail is called a French 75, and it is a sparkling cocktail, champagne Prosecco cocktail, and we are kind of doing a variation on it because Ben made a simple syrup that it's been infused with basil from our garden. So ours is a little bit different than a classic French 75. And I guess
gin.
Technically...
And gin.
Oh, that was gin?
No, I said it has gin.
Oh, and gin.
I don't know
Yes,
if it
and
was
gin.
Champagne and gin. Or sparkling and gin.
And gin, yes. Which, if you have never tried gin, it definitely has a very herbal flavor to it. It has
Pine
juniper berries,
tree,
or
yeah.
pine juniper
tree,
berries.
yeah.
Not overpowering, but it's not like a vodka. It's not like where a vodka doesn't have has a very, I don't want to say bland, but it's a very neutral taste. Gin is not that. Gin has a very distinct flavor. So definitely worth a try for sure.
Elaine asking, she's never used leeks in cooking. How would you describe the flavor compared to onions?
I would say they're milder. They have a freshness of giant spring onion. I mean, if you think, what did I learn? So, spring onion, chives, and then leeks, all in the same family, green onions and spring onions. And I think really it just, as they mature, how big they get. The leek is like the big daddy. I mean, really humongous. But they all of those that I just mentioned have a very fresh, vibrant taste to them. They definitely will make your eyes water, because as I was cutting them, they definitely made my eyes water.
Deborah on here posted, potato leek soup is wonderful. Yes, I think we've cooked potato
Yes.
leek soup before, and I think that's kind of where we got really into cooking with leeks.
Yeah. But not, I don't think that they're as strong, if that makes sense. I don't feel like a leek is as strong as a yellow onion or a Vidalia or a red. It's just not as strong. But definitely have the oniony smell. I walked into the kitchen earlier and it's, hit you, but it smells really good. This in there. All right. so while these are still cooking down, I am going to get my mushrooms in. Now, in the quiche that I made earlier, I did cut them up into tiny little bites because someone doesn't like mushrooms, but I love them. So I'm leaving this quiche, leaving the just white button mushrooms in this shape, a little bit bigger, a little bit thicker, but they're gonna wilt down. They always do because they release a lot of water. So get those going. Those sauteing. How do you know that our daughter Nora, who is 4, tried a bite of the quiche that we made, and I said, "Do you like it?" And she said, "Mm-hmm." And I said, "It has sausage in there." She said, "Oh yes, then I do like it." Can't beat it. All right, so in my large measuring cup, I have 4 eggs. That's how many we're using. We're also going to add a full cup of milk. And I'm going to whisk this all together, and then I'm going to add the cream, mostly because I have a fear a little bit that it's going to, what did you say earlier? It's going to turn into stiff peaks.
Oh,
but
yeah.
does regular cream do that, or is it just whipping cream? Or are they the same? I don't know. You told me to use this whisk, but I feel like it's too big for...
Well, you went to a smaller container too. You were also whisking it in a bowl earlier, and now you're going to a measuring cup.
Whatever. Do what I want.
Can you use skim milk? Do you think?
I wouldn't, but you might be able to because the cream, you're putting heavy cream in.
Yeah, but instead of
Instead of
I
cream?
don't know. Is whole milk or reduced fat? I think ours is reduced fat.
Ours is reduced fat.
Yeah, I think ours is 2% or 1%.
It's 1 or 2%. I can't remember. Can't keep up with all the colors from the different stores. But yeah, ours is reduced fat milk, and we're using heavy cream and a whole cup of it. I did not say anything about today. It was low fat. I said it's carbs and eggy, cheesy mixture with a champagne cocktail. A sparkling cocktail, I should say. I'm telling you, love-hate with this thing. Do not want these to burn. Just want them to get nice and sauteed. And release all the moisture. Nobody likes a soggy quiche. Different fillings you could put in quiche. Obviously, quiche Lorraine, which has spinach. You could do, and any kind of cheese too. Gruyere happens to be my favorite just because it's so melty. And it has that nice nutty taste to it. But you could do ham, you could do bacon, you could make a vegetarian all vegetable one. The possibilities are endless. We're gonna add a cup of heavy cream. Gosh, it just coats the inside of that. Be nice and creamy.
And your dad, Jack O'Brien, makes.
Yes.
He said he makes his quiche with more egg and more cheese than milk.
Yeah, he does. Growing up, I thought
It's
that...
a little bit more fluffy, I guess.
Yeah, it's more of like a frittata, kind of, inside of a pastry crust or pastry dough. That's just the way that my dad made them, so that's how I had always made them. And then I started adding less eggs, more cream, more cheese. He added a lot of cheese too, let's be real. Still adds a lot of cheese, and every time my dad makes a quiche, because it's one of my mom's favorite foods, they always send pictures and they say, "Look what we're having," and it could be, this sounds really bad, but so don't take it this way, but it could kind of be a quiche where you just clean out the refrigerator. You chop up whatever meat you have, you chop up whatever vegetables you have, you use all the different kinds of cheeses that you have in your refrigerator. It's kind of like a refrigerator dump, if you will, which makes a really fancy, beautiful thing sound bad, but It's a good way to use up everything. Asparagus you can put in there. Yes. And you can just
I know,
cut right on in.
but you're going.
He says I go 7,000 miles per minute.
You
and
got
he's
your
not
train of
wrong.
thought going. No, it's actually a good point. Lisa just asked. She was just coming on. Did you salt and pepper the sauté mixture? In which we did not.
I did not.
But it's just because it's got the because it was cooking in the sausage
Yep.
drippings.
Yeah, and I'm going to add some salt and pepper to the egg mixture. My biggest fear when I'm cooking is over salting something because it will ruin your dish and there is no going back. So I always like to have the option to under season and then have people season it themselves when you're served. Also, another reason why I did not is because we're adding a large amount, about like half a cup, but really more like 3/4 of a cup of Gruyere cheese, and the salt in that is really going to come through. So
And the salt in the sausage is
and
also.
the salt in the sausage, yeah. So I am going to add a little bit of salt. We did do a trial run just a little while ago, and I added a half of a teaspoon of salt to this mixture, and it really was, I think, perfect. So we can actually do that now. Thank you for reminding me. Going to add.
And based on how much was left out of that, out of those 2 quiches, it was very tasty.
It's delicious.
I think
Wasn't
we
it?
have like a quarter of one of the quiches left.
Yeah. So maybe I won't have any for tomorrow for work. Sorry, coworkers. And Mrs. Chris is here watching the kids, so she's definitely getting some quiche and a French 75. Oh, I just put that in there. All right. Give this a stir. Incorporate it. All right, I'll move these things out of the way so you can see. I put it all together. All right, and now that this is sauteed down, the moisture has definitely evaporated, I'm going to turn it off. And I'm going to add our sausage back in here, just to incorporate it. And then it'll be easier for spooning the whole thing into the pie crust. And once we get the quiche all put together, you're going to bake it until the center of the quiche is no longer jiggly, and that's official. You just really want to make sure that the eggs are set, but you don't want to overcook it. So really keep an eye on it. The quiche that we made earlier that were much thinner, they cooked for right at 30 minutes. I'm gonna watch this one, but I'm gonna guess it's gonna be about 40 minutes. At 40, I'm definitely gonna check it and make sure that it's not overcooking, because then it just becomes dry and then kind of separates from the edge of the pie crust. No good. And you want that cheese to stay melty and not dry up in there. All right, so now that this is all incorporated, I feel like I did a lot of stirring this program. And don't forget, all of the recipes that I've made in Cooking with Katie and a Cocktail in previous episodes are going to be posted at cookingwithkatieandacocktail.com, so you can find it there. And tonight's recipe will be posted by tomorrow. I would say tonight, but again, cocktails are involved, so probably not much is happening.
Vicky just wrote, I use a 1/4 cup of cream cheese in the bottom of my pie crust before ingredients go in, and use Gouda cheese.
Oh, that sounds good.
That does sound good.
You really can use anything. Really, I was just saying that my preference is Gruyere because of how melty and nutty it is. But you can use any. Just
That's
regular
interesting
Swiss.
to put it down there at the.
Yeah, down at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is our mixture of the leeks and the sauteed mushrooms, and then we've added our country sausage back in. Now we're going to spoon it into the bottom of our pie crust. This was a frozen one, just from your grocery store, your local grocery store. It is the deep dish one.
We'll see how much we
So
put
let's
in
see
there.
how much this holds. I might just be eating this and.
Also on here, Elaine said that she's having margarita wine. I don't know what that is. It sounds like something that we could probably
Whoops.
put together. Margarita wine.
Margarita wine. That sounds
You'll have
good.
to let us know what's in there.
Yeah. these are the things that, one of the reasons I love being Facebook Live so much is because we really are, I know we're not in each other's kitchens cooking, but you're here with me right now, and I love it because it's like talking with your friends while you're cooking and having a cocktail. All right. I think we might be in pretty good shape, Ben. I think.
Oh, you didn't tell anybody about the gift from Jolo.
The what?
The gift from Jolo.
Yes. Well, Jolo Winery and Vineyards is giving one of you a $50 gift card to spend at Jolo Winery and Vineyards. So keep those comments coming so we can see you. Really nice of them, and they're open now. They have extended hours, and you can go and visit, and so it's definitely a beautiful time of year to visit Jolo Winery and Vineyards. You can tell them about the French 75 cocktail. All right, so now we're going to take the Gruyere cheese. So much cheese. Maybe I won't add all the cheese. Not ever. When have I ever wasted an ingredient? When have you ever said no to more cheese? Not Gruyere anyway. All right. Oh my God. Okay, so now the egg mixture. Oh my goodness gracious. All right, you know what I'm gonna do before I do all this? I'm going to put it onto the baking dish that I prepared. Just a baking dish with a piece of oil, so hopefully it doesn't overflow. The oven is good at 400 degrees. We're gonna add this egg mixture, and again, we're gonna bake it just until the middle is set. Now go slowly here because it's going to sink to the bottom. You want it to sop up all of those ingredients and really get into,
give it a jiggle or something.
yeah, all the parts of the quiche, or all the parts of the pie.
It's gone. I mismade it.
It didn't. I'll let that soak in for just a second. Let it soak, let it soak, let it soak. You can even help it move around some of the ingredients in there just a little bit. Make sure to get egg everywhere in there. I'm gonna try to add just a little bit more.
Well,
okay, we're gonna call it quits on that one.
We've officially gone too far.
I should have stopped while I was ahead. All right, so, oh boy, that's really going, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. We really did that one.
Well, we're gonna bake her. We're gonna bake her anyway. I do have one that I want to show you. It is the finished product, the country sausage and leek and mushroom quiche. Pretend like you don't see this nonsense. Stop!
Still going.
I know. Yeah,
Do you need like a paper towel?
No, I'm just gonna pretend like it didn't happen. Excuse me. All right. Okay. This is the beautiful product, the beautiful end product. This is fantastic, and it's nice and cool now. Let it you don't have to wait till it's totally cool, but give it at least 10 minutes after it comes out of the oven. This one baked for about 30, that monster over there, I don't even know, probably like 7 hours at this point. But this one went about 30 just until the middle was set. And you could serve this with a really nice arugula salad. You could serve it with a cup of soup. You can serve it for brunch or for lunch or for dinner. And do not forget that you want to serve it with a French 75, a very light, fantastic, bubbly cocktail. We're gonna give away a $50 gift certificate to Jolo Winery and Vineyards. So Ben, who we got?
We are Maria Hernandez.
Maria, congratulations! $50 is yours from Jolo Winery and Vineyards. I do, how about, instead of cutting into this beauty right now, I just show you what's left of the one that we, this is the one that we made earlier, so let me show you what this one looks like. I'll show you, since my sister Colleen got it into my head,
Oh.
she's like, you should be trying to plate it every week. Right.
Skilled camera work here.
Get in there. Can you see it?
Okay, yeah. There we go.
Okay.
Look at that. Fantastic.
Cheers, you guys. Thanks for joining us for Cooking with Katie and a Cocktail. We'll see you next week.